Wahoo, wahoo, here we go. We're about to do it. The wedding banquet in Matthew chapter 22. Are you as excited as me? This is how excited I am. That's how excited I am. I'll do it again. All right. So in Parable of the Wedding Banquet, there's a couple, there's more than one wedding parable. This is my favorite wedding parable. We'll probably do the other one as well. But I love the ending on this one. A lot like when we did the parable of the lost sheep and the lost coin and the lost son. That lost son comes home, and then we found out that that other son that was out there and stayed at home the whole time might have been lost. And so there's not like a twist in the ending, but an ending that's a little bit different and feels a little bit surprising, and it goes in a new direction. There's that element to this parable as well. So that's why I like this one so much. We're going to be in Matthew chapter 22. So I'm going to start up the screen sharing, and we will get moving forward with that. And I need to remember to draw on the board behind me. I think in the last parable, I didn't draw back there at all, and that was not correct. All right, so we are in Matthew chapter 22, and I'm going to start reading in verse 1. And Jesus answered and spoke again in parables unto them, saying, The kingdom of heaven is likened unto a certain king. Have you noticed that Jesus is always talking about the kingdom of heaven? He's not talking necessarily about monarchies, and he's not talking about all sorts of world powers, and he's not talking about voting, and he's not talking about the president. Sorry, I got to clean my little camera thing. He's not talking about that sort of stuff. He is always talking about the kingdom of heaven, and that's what we need to be always thinking about. The kingdom of heaven is likened unto a certain king. Already, who do you guess the king is?
God.
God. In this parable, this is God. He's likened to a certain king, which made a marriage feast for his son. What does that sound like?
The son's getting married.
The son is getting married. And so what does that sound like? The son of the king getting married sounds like what were we studying before?
Revelation.
Right? When the marriage feast of the Lamb. So it's interesting that Jesus uses a parable that ends up sounding a lot like the story of Revelation. So there's this marriage feast. So the king has a marriage feast for his son, and he sends forth his servants. The servants go out to call them that were bidden to the marriage feast. Okay, again, old-fashioned language. What does it mean that they were bidden?
Mine says invited. Invited.
And so here is the king, and you know he's a king because he's got the crown on his head, and he has wise eyes and a smile and a kingly beard. And he is inviting people to come to the wedding feast, and he's wearing a robe. That's the robe. And he sends his servants out, and we know they're servants because they're wearing mustaches. Those are servant mustaches. And they go out and they say, hey, you were bidden. You were invited to come to the feast. Now, here's something interesting to think about. Were they invited? When did they get invited? As the servants ran out to get them? Oh, maybe I should have their feet like they're running. Oh, man, look how fast that servant is. He's got like Sonic. No, he doesn't. Just pretend it's fast. I'll do fast things. All right. So the servants are going out to get these people to come to the feast, okay? They were bidden. They were invited. When? Do we know when?
No.
You can guess, though. They weren't invited when these guys go out. They were already invited. It's almost like they got a letter in the mail that said, I'm going to have a wedding feast for my son. It's a fancy letter with wax sealing on it. I'm going to have a wedding feast for my son. And when the wedding feast is ready, these guys go out to say, okay, today's the day. Come today. Today's the day to do it. So were these guys ready for it? Did they know about it?
Yeah.
They knew about it, right? When the servants go out to those that were invited to the marriage feast, they would not come. Think about this. The king invites you to come to celebrate. He sends you a letter so that you know, so that you can be ready. And did they get themselves ready?
No.
Nope. Did they care? Were they interested? No. Even for free food, it sounds like they didn't want to come. That's just, it's very weird. I don't understand this. Why would they not come to the king's wedding feast? All right, we'll keep reading. Again, he sent forth other servants, saying, tell them that are invited or bidden, behold, I have made ready my dinner. My oxen and my fatlings are killed, and all things are ready. Come to the marriage feast. Have you ever sung the song, all things are ready, come to the feast?
Yeah.
That's where that comes from. The king is saying, wait a minute. Maybe they didn't understand. Maybe they didn't know. Tell them that we have all the food ready. We have tacos, we have pizzas, we have soda, hamburgers,
French fries.
all sorts of, French fries coming out of, all sorts of, those are weird looking French fries. Let's just pretend that those are good French fries, okay? The wedding feast is ready. It is ready. Say what? Who's talking?
Yeah, it's me. I'm just saying, like, it's strange that they wouldn't come because he's the king. He's pretty powerful.
But it's what that they wouldn't come? I didn't hear you.
Like, it's strange that they wouldn't go to the feast.
Yes, this parable is all full of strangeness. Why wouldn't they come? Even if all the food is ready. He's saying, all things are ready, come to the feast. Let's see what they do. The first time they just said no, they wouldn't come, right? Now, but they made light of it. What does it mean to make light of something? Do you know what that phrase means, that they made light of it? Someone's got a cool song playing. To make light of something is to laugh at it. I'll draw them out here. They're laughing at it, and they're scoffing at it, and they're going, pshaw, that's stupid. Like the hands swinging down. No, I'm not going to do that. Oh. And they're laughing, and they think, oh, this isn't a nice thing. And what else? What do they look like? They turn their noses. Oh, I could do it like this. How they're pinching their nose because, that marriage feast is gonna stink. Like, ugh, I don't want to get involved in that.
Mr. Dan.
Yeah.
We can't see. Can you move? Can you please move the phone over? Yeah, that's good.
There we go. So they're making light of it. They're thinking, this is dumb. Oh, we turn our noses to this. And they went their ways. That means that they went away. They just went about with their day. The king said, come to my feast, and they went their own way. What did they do when they went their own way? Well, one to his farm and another to his merchandise. So we have work to do. Oh, let me draw it here. I have to go to my barn and take care of stuff and do all sorts of things, and I think this is stupid. And the other one says, I am a merchant on the high seas, and I have to do my merchandise and sell all my boxes and make all my money. So you get the idea here, right? That instead of, we've already said that the king is God, and instead of paying attention to God, they're paying attention to their jobs and their money, and that barn looks like it's about to fall apart. Please pretend it's okay. Here's a guy in his boat. Here's a farmer who is out standing in his field. There's his pick. And so they just want to do these things. They're saying, this is dumb. Look what else they do. The rest laid hold of his servants and treated them shamefully, treated them badly, and killed them. So these two guys are the good ones. They just laughed at it. The other ones killed the king's servants.
That's nasty. Just because they don't like
some feast doesn't mean they have to kill the guys.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's exactly the point. So what is it that God sent the apostles out to do? Essentially, he sent the apostles out to invite people to his marriage feast. And what did the world do? They thought it
Picked up
was
their noses
silly.
and
Go ahead.
went back to their stuff.
Yeah. Some of them said, oh, I have more important things to do in my own life, and I have my own business, and I like the way things are going. And the other ones hate it so much that they kill these servants. So now it's kind of sounding like the book of Revelation. Remember all those ship merchants and the people who wanted to sin, and even the people that were hurting the Christians? And so this is what's going on. How do you think God is going to feel?
Angry.
But the king was wroth. There's a great old-fashioned word. You know what that means, right?
Does it mean angry?
Angry. He was burning up. Oh my goodness, he was set on fire. So he sent his armies and destroyed those murderers and burned their city. Think about that. He sent armies, destroyed the murderers, and burned their city. Is there any question about how God feels about this sort of thing?
No.
It's pretty clear, right? Then
Yeah.
look at what happens. I think that this is just amazing. Then he says to his servants, the wedding is ready. It's still ready, right? The wedding is ready. But those that were invited were not worthy. They were not worthy. Go therefore unto the partings of the highways, go out to the roads and the highways, and as many as you shall find, invite them to the marriage feast. And those servants went out to the highways and gathered together as many as they found, both good and bad. And the wedding was filled with guests. This is pretty cool. So let's think, this is where I'll start drawing things on the board behind. Let me get this, there, change that so I can stand. Okay, so when the king was inviting the first set of people, what kind of people do you think he invited? What were they like?
Maybe richer.
Probably richer, right? They had ships, they had their businesses, and did they want to come? No. So now what kind of people is he inviting? Do you remember what the words were? Where does the king say to find the people?
On the highways.
On the highways and then the road crossings. You might have heard the song, and the highways, in the hedges. I think it comes from that sort of an image. What sort of people do you find hanging out on highways? Rich merchants? No.
Probably beggars.
Yeah, probably poor or needy, right? People who have to walk somewhere instead of get to ride in cool cars. And so here's the roads and all these roadways, and the people are traveling on them, and that's where they find people. And so what kind of people end up coming to the wedding feast? Rich?
People.
Probably poor. So you can draw like patches on their clothes to show that they had to patch their clothes. Do you think they're happy?
No.
I bet they're happy to be at the wedding feast.
Yeah.
Right? Let's think of some of the people that Jesus does invite to talk with him. Does he only talk with rich people?
No.
No. What if somebody is sick with a gross disease? What did Jesus do with that person?
He healed them.
He healed them. So let's draw someone who has, okay, we could draw leprosy, right? So here's their hand. And when you have leprosy, you have like hurts and sores and ugly things, right? And is that the kind of person that Jesus was willing to talk to?
Yes.
Yeah. Actually, I'm drawing the people really small. I think it's probably hard to see. Let me do that. There we go. Now you can see it a little bit better. And so it doesn't give the exact details of what these people are like. Maybe, okay. farmers and merchants, how old are they?
They're adults.
Adults? So maybe they invited little kids. Isn't that something that Jesus liked to do, was to talk to little kids?
Mm-hmm.
Also, do you think that there's a good chance that the really old people got to be invited, right? The grandmas and the grandpas? Here's an easy way to draw a grandma and a grandpa. You draw their head farther down their body, and it looks like they're stooped and tired. And that can be a grandma or a grandpa. Now, the big clue is if you stick a beard on them, then you know it's a grandpa.
I like drawing them holding sticks.
Yeah, there, like a walking stick.
Yeah.
Yeah, there we go. And so these are the kinds of people, I think, that were invited. Okay, so I'll draw another one right here. There's another person. Okay, so hooray, the wedding feast. Is the wedding feast filled with really cool celebrities and awesome people? No. Not the way the world calls awesome people anyways. It's just filled with people. Normal people, maybe sick people, maybe old people, maybe people that don't look very pretty, you know, things like that. But the king is happy. I think the king is happy about it. So let's go back to screen share and we'll see what happens. Those other people, the rich ones or the powerful ones, the king says they were not worthy. Oh, sorry. I thought I had shared it and I didn't share it. Here we go. And so now, what kind of people? Anybody in the highways, almost anybody they could find. They found people that were good and bad. I don't know what that means. Does that mean sinners and non-sinners? I don't know. It could mean bad, meaning not rich, and good. Does that make sense? I don't know exactly what the Bible means there with good and bad. But the point is that the kingdom of heaven is filled with guests. And these people, according to the king, are not, I'll do it with a color, I'll do it with an orange color, not worthy, right? They're not worthy. They were invited, but they're not worthy. But these people here that were on the highways and the byways, you know, and they're traveling on the road, we'll call that a road on a hill. Okay, and a cloud and the sunshine, and yay, that's a happy picture. But these people, it seems like they were worthy ones, both good and bad. But now we're going to look at the ending. So now everybody is sitting at the marriage feast, and they're having their sodas, and they're having their chicken or their pizza slices, and they're eating their French fries, and they're having a good old time, right? They're at the wedding feast, and who shows up? The king. The king shows up, and we'll see what he sees. But the king came in to behold the guests. So he's looking at people, right? He's looking at the people at the party. And he saw there a man which had not on a wedding garment. He was not wearing wedding clothes.
Not nice clothes.
I think that that's the idea. When you go to a wedding, are you supposed to wear Hawaiian shorts and party clothes?
Yes.
Well, you're supposed to wear like dress up party, but are you supposed to just show up at a wedding wearing your old shorts and your swimming trunks and like a shirt that's got weird colors and things? What do most people wear when they go to a wedding?
Suits and dresses.
Yeah, suits and dresses. It's kind of like, here, I'm going to try to draw this guy's wearing weird clothes. It's kind of like, let me see if I can zoom in.
Hey, Daddy, I'm just saying. Right?
There he is.
I think that's kind of weird because you can rated poor people.
I can't hear you. It's kind of weird. What?
Because like, the king had rated poor people and they wouldn't have good food.
Right. But I think the idea here, well, let's read it. Let's read it, okay? Because it doesn't say for sure they were poor. That was just my guess. Oh, wrong thing. That's not what I want.
Hey, Daddy, I have an idea.
What's your idea?
Maybe they didn't put on their best clothes.
I think that's probably the right idea.
Yeah.
That's probably the right idea.
I was thinking, since, like, maybe, like, the people gave them, or, like, it says, when you enter the kingdom of heaven, you will be given a white robe.
Oh, there is that. That's a good connection. Well, let's read this whole paragraph and we'll figure it out. But the king came in to behold the guests, and he saw there a man which had not on a wedding garment. And he said unto him, Friend, how camest thou in hither not having a wedding garment? Basically, how'd you get in here without a wedding garment? And he was speechless. Then the king said to the servants, Bind him hand and foot, cast him out into outer darkness. There shall be weeping and gnashing of teeth. For many are called, but few chosen. When the king said, How did you get in here without a wedding garment? What did the man say?
Nothing.
He didn't say anything. He didn't say, Oh, I'm so sorry, I didn't know. He didn't say, I'm sorry, I'm really poor. This is the best I have. They're dirty. I'm really sorry. Did he know that he was wrong? I think so. He was speechless. Have you ever been told or asked a question by a parent, by your parents, or by an adult, or even by one of your friends, and they said, Did you do this? And you know it was wrong, and you know that you did it, and you know you should say, Yes, I did do it, because you don't want to lie, but you don't want to say anything at all because you just feel guilty. You feel frustrated. I shouldn't have been lazy. I should have put on my best wedding clothes. They're not very nice. They're not as nice as the person down the street, but I could put on some wedding clothes. Think about how kind the king was. The king invited anybody. He said, Even you can come. And the guy says, All right, I'm just going to come in and I'm going to wear my clothes and I don't care what clothes I wear. Is that a very thankful attitude?
No.
I mean, see the point there? I think that's really the point. What we have is a great king And what sort of mouth should I draw on him? Is he a scary, stern, angry king?
No. A smiling king.
He's a smiling king, right? Because he invites anybody. He invites anybody to come. That is a smiling king who invites anybody to come. And has God invited you to come?
Yes, and we're going to come.
We're going to come. Can you come wearing anything you want?
No.
No. No. Okay, technically, does God care if we wear blue shirts or red shirts? We know that that's not the point. Can I come to God's wedding feast any way I want to come?
No.
No. I need to say, thanks for inviting me. Can I bring something? Can I do something? Is there something I should wear? Sometimes God says, no, just be quiet, Dan, and come quietly. Okay. Sometimes it's like, Dan, you can't do anything. Just be quiet and come. Okay, I'll come. But if there's anything we can do if there's any person that we can help, like the Good Samaritan, if there's any way to behave, like, okay, I'll wear nice clothes. If there's any way to think, I'll be forgiving and merciful. I won't hold grudges. Kind of like the unmerciful servant who wouldn't forgive his friend servant, right? We need to do anything that we can that God wants us to do. And if we just decide, I'm going to come however I want to come, what's God's attitude? What happens in the parable? What's God's attitude to that person? He's going to be cast into outer darkness, weeping and gnashing of teeth. That's pretty extreme.
Mr. Dan,
Mm-hmm.
are you going to draw him having that happening to him?
Sure, why not? All right, so I don't know how to draw outer darkness on a whiteboard.
Just draw. What I did was I drew one shade of black and then I did a lighter gray.
Well, it's hard with these.
Yeah.
So at least I'll do weeping and gnashing of teeth first.
And then you can just put lines around it.
Oh, that's true. Didn't we draw some like biting teeth in our Revelation class? This kind of pain.
Yeah, chewing on their tongue.
Chewing, yeah, biting a tongue and things like that. So there's the weeping and gnashing of teeth. And let's see what kind of, he was wearing a weird shirt.
And he was bound up too.
Oh, bound up. Thanks. I forgot about that. I'll put his hands tied up behind his back. How does that sound?
My guy's bald. Gnash his hair off.
There's his feet. I don't have a lot of room for his feet, but you can see his feet are all bound up too. My guy, apparently he put on weight between this picture and this picture.
Well, he was eating a lot of food before he got thrown.
Maybe that's the case. And how rude is that to show up to eat the free food and not come wearing the right clothes, right? That's like, I'm going to try to get all the sweet blessings I can out of God, but I'm not going to do anything to help. Doesn't that sound terrible?
Yeah.
And what's the result? Weeping and gnashing of teeth. And maybe this is the way I'll do outer darkness. All right. Can everyone see him really well? Because now I have to kind of like scratch him out.
Can you tilt the thing back a little bit?
There we go.
Thanks.
Like that. Now the outer darkness is kind of blending in with his hair. Did you get the idea? All right, there we go. My light just turned off. There we go. So that's that. That's why I like this parable, because even though all of them, they got to come, they were there. They're eating the wedding feast pizza. But he didn't come prepared. He didn't come with respect. He didn't come trying and caring. He came speechless. If we are speechless, if we are without love, if we are without care, if we are someone who doesn't even try, this is what we're going to get. We got to care. We got to. Well, that's what I have for my class. Do you have any questions about this before we close out?
Yeah.
Yeah, what's up?
Right. That was him.
No, that was a little brother talking about a bike. Sounds good. All righty. Well, in that case, I'm going to...
Baby Rose. Oh.
What? Oh, still. Eva, do you have a question?
Why did the guy not get prepared?
We have to invent ideas. The point is that the story says the first people that were invited who could have prepared, they didn't want to. And they were cast out. Then these people did come, and they were there. And even though they were there with God at his feast, if they weren't prepared even then, they're also cast out. So maybe he didn't prepare because he was lazy. I've been lazy. Maybe he didn't prepare because he didn't want to take the time, or it's too much work, or he didn't want to wear those special clothes. I want to do my own thing. I don't know. Maybe he didn't like the messenger saying, well, you need to put on the special clothes. And he thought, well, I would, but not when somebody tells me what to do. I can invent a lot of ideas because I know that my own heart sometimes does things like that.
Mr. Dan.
All right, well, that's the class. I think I'm going to have to close it there, but I really had fun with you guys, and I will see you around soon. Take care.